Hello, I'm Rex Basterfield and I'd like to welcome you to a video about my Quilcom SIM-DJEMBE. A djembe is an African drum played exclusively with the hands. One of the distinct features of a djembe, which distinguishes it from a Western floor tom, is the shape of the top of the drum, which is sort of goblet shaped. And this produces what's called a Helmholtz resonance, which is actually not affected by the type or tension of the skin. So there are two main components to the sound of a djembe. There is the quite deep bass sound, around 70-75 hertz, produced by this cavity, and the sound of the skin, which is pitched much higher than the bass sound. There are three principal sounds traditionally. These are called the bass, the tone, and the slap. The bass sound is produced by hitting the center of the skin with the palm of the hand, which tends to deaden the upper modes or frequencies produced by the skin. The so-called tone sound is produced by hitting towards the edge of the skin with fingers pressed together. So that gives a higher pitch sound than the bass tone. And finally, the slap sound is produced by hitting towards the edge of the skin but with the fingers apart. And whilst it's still the basic tone sound, it has much higher presence of the higher frequency modes produced by the skin. So I'll demonstrate the bass, tone and slap on the SIM-DJEMBE. Middle C on the MIDI keyboard plays the bass sound. The F above plays the tone sound. And one octave up on the C plays the slap sound. I've arranged it so that all the notes in that octave chromatically produce variations on these sounds as you go up the keyboard, so I'll just demonstrate that now. Now these sounds are mirrored below middle C, so the F above middle C, for example, will give you the tone sound, and the G below middle C will give you the same tone sound. The purpose of this mirroring is to enable you to use two or more fingers to produce more rapid playing. Since the SIM-DJEMBE uses synthesizer techniques only, no samples, we have a range of controls that can affect the timbre and behaviour of the instrument. So I'll run through those now. So I'll start at the top with the hand controls. The sound of your skin hitting the skin of the djembe is controlled with a level control. And the mute knob controls the amount of muting of the vibration of the skin. So if you play and hold the your hand down on the skin, you'll get a more deadened sound, whereas if you bounce your hand off the skin, which is the traditional African style, then it will fully ring out. And this is simulated on the MIDI keyboard. When the mute is set to 1, you get the full sound ringing out even if you hold the note down. But if you hold the note down with the mute advanced, then the sound will be dead, and if you stab the note, the sound will ring out fully. So now I'll talk about the three settings we have for the sound of the skin. The thickness of the skin determines the decay time of the sound of the skin resonance and the modes. So a less thick or thinner skin will ring longer, and typically thin dry goat skin is desirable to get the best ring, but sometimes cow's hide can be used and so on. So this thickness knob determines the ring time. For a given diameter of skin and a given thickness of skin, the tension tunes the drum. The default value is a typical tension sound based on my auditioning of various videos and recordings. The Overtones knob, OV tones here, sets the brightness of the sound, which can simulate the distance of the listener from the skin, or the microphone from the skin. Now, as I mentioned before, the volume of air contained in this goblet shape and the stem determines the sound of the resonant bass note or sound, and we can obviously not change that on a real drum, but here we can go from a small body to a large body, and the resonance of this cavity affects the decay time of that bass sound. Now, on a real djembe, a professionally carved one, the maker will produce spiral grooves on the inside of the goblet to actually reduce the resonance to give a more defined thump. So I'll demonstrate these two controls now, and I'll turn the overtones down so that you can better hear the bass sound. So that's an overview of my Quilcom SIM-DJEMBE for you, and I hope you have some fun with it. My next project is planned to be a dunun or dundun, which is a drum that's often heard to be played with a djembe. I'm going to play you out with some polyrhythms created with 3 instances of the SIM-DJEMBE, for which I apologise in advance because I'm no musician or rhythm composer. Anyway, until the next time, bye!